We got a new dispatch from the DEI Chronicles, right?
That's right. We have our favorite dispatch from the DEI Chronicles and what's happening here. I love this. It's everything to me. Put this up there on the screen. Uber has now put its Asian diversity chief on leave after employees, mostly led by some black employee groups, complained about sessions called Don't Call Me Karen that were intended to explore the American white woman experience. So she was put on leave after black employee, or I should not say black employees, some black employee groups, which maybe represent some portion of black employees at Uber, complained to management that they felt like they were being lectured about the American white woman experience and that it was inappropriate for that to be included because they did not view Karen as a slur. Now, I would not put that in a racial slur category, but if the overall ethos of Uber is we don't judge people by the color of their skin, and we want all employees to be aware of the personal individual struggles that each individual human being is outside of their race, then a Don't Call Me Karen session seems perfectly appropriate and fine. Now, especially given the amount of 1619 nonsense that most of these companies force upon their employees on a weekly basis. So one, Don't Call Me Karen session, though, was apparently, though, enough, Ryan, to trigger some of these groups and has now led to the capitulation by the CEO of Uber, who has put this lady on leave and has now ignited a crisis within the company and is causing lots of consternation. It is also humorous to me because it shows you that the DEI in practicality really means basically like whatever white fragility Robin DiAngelo nonsense that is. It doesn't actually mean real diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's why I reject the term and the entire practice, and I think it's a complete grift and a farce. What did you make of this?
The kind of funniest part of it was the way that the language was the same going in both directions, just with the shoes on the other foot. You have this, so the DEI boss responded to the complaints by, quote, telling the women that while the conversation may have been uncomfortable, sometimes being pushed out of your own strategic ignorance is the right thing to do. That is exactly what DEI bosses say to white people who go through these sessions and come out of it and say, you made me feel bad about being white. And they say, look, too bad.
You gotta be uncomfortable.
You have to be uncomfortable because in that discomfort is where you find your insights.
Instead, all evidence says that in the discomfort, you become more racist. And,
right. So, I mean, forget the actual evidence, but what they say is that the discomfort is a good thing. So she used that same line back to these women who were protesting, saying, sometimes being pushed out of your own strategic ignorance is the right thing to do.
Okay.
And that didn't work for her. That blew up right in her face.
Blew up in her face,
that was
so they're not allowed to be uncomfortable, but you have to be uncomfortable. Got it. So it seems like discomfort's supposed to go
later
one way.
Later, as they're applauding the fact that they got her suspended, one of the women is like, this sounds a little bit too much like what police do. So there was a little bit of maybe the kind of regret at their victory.
Yes.
That it might have creeped into the carceral territory. Because then you're reproducing the same anti-abolitionist tendencies that you are fighting against.
Got it.
But separately, can we step back for a second and note that all of these managers and workers at Uber are getting paid by the exploited labor
of
mostly black and brown drivers.
I was about to say that.
Their job is to figure out how to extract as much money from struggling gig workers as possible so that they can then pay to have these sessions where they accuse each other.
That's the great irony of it all, isn't it? Is that all of that is built upon 1099 contract labor, of which they have spent and built a multi-billion-dollar business exploiting. Now, maybe you're okay with that, but I would just say that when you look at the very basics, both on the consumer level and on the worker level, we have gotten to a very bad place. Because has anyone taken Uber lately? They're actually really expensive. They're just as expensive as cabs. So now Ubers are just as expensive as cabs, except Now the driver doesn't have any benefits. And it's like, yeah, I mean, look, I like the technology. It's nice and it's convenient. But somewhere in the happy middle, we disaggregated driver from benefits, and we basically rolled up that benefit into a company stock called Uber. And that is what is paying for all of this nonsense happening when they're supposed to be doing work. So this is a good view into what's real exploitation. Being, a highly paid black executive at Uber, having to sit through a "Don't Call Me Karen," or being somebody who loses their job, has no opportunities except but to drive for Uber, and just burns their car into the ground in terms of its depreciating value while driving from 2 a.m. to the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. shift for drunk people. Right. Sounds pretty miserable. And
absorbing all the risk.
Yeah.
The people who are executives at Uber are not the ones who are going to get vomit in the backseat of their car or possibly
and then be like, no,
assaulted.
they only vomited on half the car, so here's half the reimbursement or something like that. And look, sure, there's some benefit or whatever to some people who want to drive Uber and all of that, but we have to still get to a better medium as a society about making sure that people are not taken advantage of and don't have access to the very basics of benefits and are protected, even from, they're the ones who have to buy the cars, maintain the cars and all of that. And it's a real issue, that I've seen for a lot of people.
And what is Uber? It's Google Maps with PayPal on it.
Yeah.
The actual innovation of Uber is exploitation. They're just figuring out ways to take all of the risk involved in the actual work and put it on
them.
The worker, the contractor. They don't even call him an employee.
And on a more meta
level,
level,
extract all the profits.
One of the reasons why, a session like "Don't Call Me Karen" may be valuable for people is what did we all just go through? Put this up there on the screen. This lady in New York City who was accused in a viral video of stealing a city bike from a couple of black teenagers or young men who had surrounded her. Was ridiculed and defamed, really, online, called the New York City Karen. Well, it turns out that records provided to media outlets and to others show that she genuinely did pay for the city bike in question at the center of this viral fight, and now is looking to actually sue some of the people who defamed her online as some sort of racist, which is leading to, Ryan, a bunch of deleted tweets across the internet from people who are like, no, I never said that, and from media outlets adding substantial and large corrections as to what happened here. And, every time I see one of these things, I think the same thing. It's like, yeah, not a great look for either party, but I wasn't there. I have no idea what preceded it or came after. I'm going to withhold judgment. And it turns out, yeah, that's exactly the right move. And so jumping on some viral video and immediately, Karen and all of that doesn't genuinely lead to the best results. If anything, what have you underscored for a lot of people? There probably are scenarios where people, actually not probably, there definitely are scenarios where people falsely accuse black youths of committing crimes. And now, though, you have set up a situation where people who always want to disbelieve that are like, no, this is just like the NYC Karen, or vice versa. Where every single time that you see somebody in this scenario, you're like, oh, well, that person is lying, or, we want to try and, we've gotten to the point now where the default whenever you see these videos is, I'm going to withhold judgment, and I'm not going to jump to conclusions because we've been burned so many times on fakes, which was the exact point of the "Don't Call Me Karen" session.
And it reminds, I think, everybody a little bit of the Nicholas Sandman case. Remember the little kid with the MAGA hat?
Yes.
Who
and the drums. And
is one of the richest people in the country now because...
he's good for him. Right.
But one thing that both had in common, and I don't say this in a defamatory way, you watch the video and they both look like kind of punks in the video.
Right. What's happening here?
Yeah, none of them, neither of them looked good in the interactions.
To me, I was just like, what an odd situation. To find yourself in.
Right, and the nurse, the crying and she seems all.
Yeah, listen, to me it seemed a bit histrionic. Although apparently she's pregnant, right? So I'm willing to cut her.
She's 5 months pregnant.
I'll really cut her some slack.
And just finished a 12-hour shift.
Right.
That's more work than I've done in 20 years.
Correct. Yeah.
Including never been pregnant.
Yes.
That's done it doing it pregnant.
Yeah.
And just to explain to people how this all unfolded, so the way that these city bikes work, you use them. Everybody's used them. Probably you put your phone in there.
Yeah, you pay for it.
It's yours. You unlock it.
Right.
Apparently, the kids grabbed her bike and kind of like nudged her until it locked again. She then like unlocked it a second time, pulled it out, and if she would have lost it to that kid, if she would have said, you know what, fine, you take it, she's liable for like $1,200 if the kids don't return that bike.
Right.
And if you're the kids and you didn't sign, why don't you just keep it at that point? And so what she was able to show through her lawyer was a receipt that she had it for 2 minutes and then ended the trip, and then a receipt again that she got it and took it home.
Got it.
And so that really fits with the story that it was hers, because that changes everything. Because now these are people in an urban environment who are competing for scarce resources. She had it first. Like, those are the rules. Like, she had it first. Go get your own scooter.
Yeah, I think it's sad. I hope that, I think public confrontations of any kind, A, make me deeply uncomfortable, and B, I do my absolute best to avoid them at all costs. And I also,
it's not worth it.
That was going to say, that would be my advice and I would just walk away. You really don't want to be.
It sucks, but
it sucks. It sucks. I've been there, where you just, all you want to do is say something or whatever, and you're like, you know what, this is, all this is going to lead to is trouble. That's not a justification for the behavior. It's more on an individual level. Right. It's like, and the meta takeaway is that the "Don't Call Me Karen" session seems perfectly vindicated.
People needed it.
Yeah, it turns out people did need it because
their strategic ignorance backfired here.
There's major strategic. It turns out all of us do need to be, or instead of being uncomfortable and having this, we can have more helpful societal-wide lessons, which is, hey, why are we all talking about diversity, equity, inclusion at Uber when we have a Black and brown workforce which is struggling? Maybe if we flipped things on that end, it would be a little bit better.
We could also be like, look, imagine if this is your mama, and like when you're on a train, you see a pregnant woman, you stand up, you give them the seat.
Well, you would hope so. When I lived in New York, unfortunately, many people did not do
But even if it is your scooter, the pregnant nurse coming out.
Yeah, it's just like, just give it.
You know what?
Damn bite.
And thank you for your service.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.